If you're in emotional pain, you've experienced some kind of trauma. And then a lot of times what we can't do is have any pleasure or enjoyment of life. And to me, that's like the saddest thing that could happen.
Hi, everyone. Shaelene McInnis here from Books in Line. Also back in the she shed. As you can see, the weather's gotten very nice for February, so I'm back working in the she shed. I have a very interesting guest today. Her name is Milica Jelenic, and it's someone I like her very much. She's here to talk about the work she does, helping people with things such as tension, stress, posture work, and dealing with pain. So this is something I think so many of us know something about, or we know someone who has terrible back pain or neck pain, or who really needs something outside of, trying to just always go to the doctor. There's so many other options out there. So the work that she's doing, I'm quite fascinated about. I've never heard of it before, and that's why I'm so happy to share it. I'm going to remind everyone once again, we'll have all the links so that you can contact her. All the social media links, her email address, the Amazon address for her book, anything that if you want to reach her, you'll absolutely be able to do that. And you can always contact us at Books in Line, and we can refer you to each other as well. So hello, welcome. Please tell us all what you do.
Shaelene. Oh, so all that I do is, I think to summarize it, is what I really love to do is help people get out of the traumas that they're in, whether that's a physical trauma or emotional trauma. And I like to help them bring that to 180 degree and find pleasure. So a lot of times when you are in pain, your body has experienced some kind of trauma. If you're in emotional pain, you've experienced some kind of trauma. And then a lot of times what we can't do is have any pleasure or enjoyment of life. And to me, that's like the saddest thing that could happen. So my joy, one of my greatest joys, is when I can assist people, facilitate people to be able to have ease of movement, ease in their bodies, and then they can have pleasure. That's like the greatest reward ever for the work that I do. And I do that through several different modalities. So one of the modalities that I work with is something called radionics, which uses scalar waves and uses technology instruments that I can, if I use a hair sample or a picture of you, I can pick up the information of you via your photons and figure out who you are, what's going on with your body, the vitality of, so how much life force your body has. And what I'm measuring that through is your photons, so your light particles. And then if you're, you might feel like, hey, I feel all right. And when I go to measure you, your vitality might be like, you're okay. We can definitely boost you, because your normal might feel like is actually kind of a low, because you're so used to it. And then if we can look at that and go, how can we improve your life so that your vitality is like spectacular, and even down to different organs, right? We can look at like the vitality of your liver. How happy and healthy is it? How happy and healthy are your lungs? How happy and healthy are even the vitamin levels in your body? So you could be taking vitamins and being really confident, like, I'm taking all the right stuff. And you're like, but how come I don't feel better? Sometimes it's that your body isn't absorbing those minerals or vitamins, and they also sometimes don't match you. So when I recommend things to people like vitamins or minerals, I'll actually check their body. It's sort of like a kinesiology muscle testing sort of method, but I'll check to see not just is it good for you, but how good is it for you? And I like to make sure bodies are going to improve their vitality by more than 5% before I get you to invest in something. So we want to see like big change. We don't want to, like, incremental change is great when you've had chronic conditions and you just need to be able to move yourself out of something. But if you have acute conditions, we want to see some big change. So
and there's so many people recently I've found who have had emotional trauma, specifically years ago, and now it's manifesting itself in serious physical ailments and pain. And so I love the work. I love what you're talking about with the work that you're doing. And I also know you've done some work with Reiki as well.
Yeah. So around 1997, how old was I? I was 22 at the time. I I was always curious about energy work. I was like the kid who read all the books in school that nobody else read. I was reading books about past lives and like how to develop your psychic self. I was reading that stuff as a 12-year-old. So that was always curious to me. So to get into energy work, to get into um, having, being able to put my hands on people and see the pain go out of them was just so
Yes.
cool. So
Mhm.
I had it done to me first several times, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And
Mhm.
then when I graduated university, I just went, "Let's just do this." So I started studying Reiki, and I went for my own weekly sessions for I think it's like 6 years. I went for weekly sessions before I decided to go become a Reiki master.
Mhm.
So I was doing it old school. I was like, I need to know, and I need to work on me, and I need to get really thorough before I choose to call myself a Reiki master. So I did go off and get my mastery, but I did do a very long process
Mhm.
towards that.
And I know that you and my friend Christine McIver, who's also your friend Christine McIver, I know you guys just did a summit. I wish I could have made that summit. So can you tell me about the summit that you guys were part of?
Yeah, so we did a summit called Take Action Now, and it was all about getting you motivated and moving forward, especially, that those February blahs tend to hit. So we started it on
Oh,
February 1st,
yes.
where
Yeah.
usually people go for the January 1st change, but we know that that usually doesn't stick. So we
Yeah.
started for February 1st, whole different new year.
Yeah.
And doing Take Action Now. I did a talk on there called Bodies Like Action, and that's actually available to the public as well. So
Mhm.
you guys will be able to see that and listen to that. And in Bodies Like Action, I love talking about sex and intimacy. I actually have a
Mhm.
show on Inspired Choices Network called The
Oh,
Pleasure Zone as well. And I've been doing it for 9.5 years. So there's over 400 episodes available, all, all things sex and pleasure and bodies.
well, we'll
And
need
one
all
of
those links. We want all those
yes.
links.
So Bodies Like Action isn't just about like the title does sound like it's going to be a sexy talk, but it's actually just what bodies actually need, right? So I broke
Yeah.
down the action to ACTION and what those things mean for me.
Mhm.
Like bodies like activity. And what kind of activity do bodies like? Bodies tend to like rejuvenating activities, even though we tend to have
Yes.
a lot of taxing activities.
Yeah.
So it's to learn how to like weigh your balance scale more on the rejuvenating rather than the taxing. And like
Mhm.
right now, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I have a vacuum going on in the background because I don't like cleaning my house. So one of the taxing activities to pass that over to my cleaning lady. And so I
That's
don't feel
great.
exhausted by things.
No, I cannot
Yeah.
hear the vacuum, but that's funny. I'm like, yeah,
Okay.
self-care people, self-care. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is
Yeah.
your book. I know that you came out with a book collaboration. I'd really like to talk about that book.
Yeah. So I am part of I'm a co-author in a book it's called Light from the Shadows. I actually created the cover too. Because sometimes for fun, I like doing graphics. So
Beautiful.
I did the graphics in there. And in Light from the Shadows, you'll see my story in there about what inspired me to start to work with people and why I started doing it, basically for
Mhm.
my own and there's more to my journey. I just kept my journey
Yeah.
to a very simple journey there, but we'll be working on. I'm actually working on a book of my own, and this was a really great step for me to get my foot in the waters to go. It's okay to put your information out there
Yeah.
in this format. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, I find people are opening up more and more because the one thing I had someone on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and what he said to me was the problem was that everyone thinks they're the only ones going through something. This is the thing, and
yeah,
they're so surprised to find out there's so many people going through the same kinds of things, and that's why I think people are coming out, and I'm trying to bring it out to the forefront a lot more. Anything to do with in the wellness field is something I'm happy to be a part of. I would like to say thank you very, very much, Milica. I really appreciate you coming and taking the time here to talk to us. So, again, we'll have all the contact information and we will be able to introduce you guys to Milica shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.